This is Story Recapped. Today, I'm going to explain a drama, horror, and mystery film called Old. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Guy Kappa, his wife Priska, and their children Maddox and Trent drive to a tropical resort for vacation. When the family reaches the resort, the staff happily greets them. Their hotel assistant, Madrid, hands them welcome cocktails and leads the children to the drinking fountain. At the candy station, the kids meet Idlib, the resort manager's nephew. Later, the family heads to the beach. Trent and Idlib go around and introduce themselves to the other guests. While playing a truth-telling game, Idlib admits that he doesn't have friends. Trent insists that they're friends and they can keep in touch even after he leaves the resort. That evening, Guy and Priska discuss their relationship. The vacation is supposed to be their family's last one together before the couple proceeds with their divorce. Guy hopes Priska would reconsider the divorce, given her medical condition that they recently discovered. However, Priska is adamant that her condition is irrelevant to their failing marriage. The children listen to their parents argue from another room. To avoid upsetting him, Maddox suggests that Trent plays instead. Trent opens a letter from Idlib and deciphers the code, revealing that Idlib challenges him to an ice cream eating contest. At dawn, a woman strips down at a secluded beach to entice her companion before going into the water. In the morning, the resort manager recommends a private beach area to the Kappa family. After talking to them, the manager pulls Idlib away when he spots him. Another guest, Patricia, starts seizing. Her husband, Jaron, and another guest, a surgeon named Charles, tend to her. Finally, Patricia recovers and Madrid offers her a drink to calm her down. Later, the Kappa family waits in the van to take them to the secluded area. While there, Trent notices that Idlib left him another note in his bag. Joining them are Charles and his mother, Agnes, his wife Crystal, and their daughter, Kara. The driver takes them to the private area and gives them the picnic items for their trip. The driver instructs them how to get to the beach and tells them that he'll pick them up at 5 p.m. The guests enjoy the walk into the nature preserve that leads them into a canyon until finally they reach the private beach. While setting up their beach umbrella, Charles spots another man close by, so he sets up elsewhere. When Crystal strips to her swimsuit, Charles looks over to the man, uncomfortable of him seeing his wife. The children enjoy the beach while Priska reads a book by the shore. Maddox notices the other guest and recognizes him as the rapper known as Midsize Sedan. Maddox is excited upon seeing the rapper, but Guy tells her to leave him alone since he's probably on vacation. Later, Kara bonds with the Kappa kids, and in the afternoon the children explore the beach and find discarded items from the hotel in the sand. While playing hide and seek, Trent hides behind a boulder in the water when a body suddenly floats towards him. Charles and Guy retrieve the woman, while Priska takes the children away from the scene. Midsize Sedan approaches them while his nose bleeds, and recognizes the dead woman as his companion. Agnes complains that she feels unwell because of the situation. Trent also complains that his trunks feel uncomfortable, so Priska advises him to loosen them, though she pauses when looking at her son. Charles tries to contact the resort, but there's no reception on the beach. Suddenly, Patricia and Jaron arrive, so Guy insists on catching up with the resort driver. However, Jaron claims that the driver has already left. They explain that they found a body on the beach, and Charles accuses Midsize Sedan of hurting the woman, thinking that his nose is bleeding because the woman tried to defend herself. The argument is halted when Crystal calls Charles to help his mother. Jaron walks back into the canyon, hoping to get a reception elsewhere, but he suddenly gets dizzy upon stepping inside. Minutes later, Jaron wakes up at the shore. Patricia explains that he stumbled out of the canyon, seemingly in pain before passing out. Charles checks on his mother, who's in shock over what happened. Agnes insists that she's okay, and that Charles should focus on helping the others instead. Priska walks up to Charles, asking about Trent, but Charles insists that Trent is fine, seeing that he's playing with Kara from a distance. Eventually, Charles and Priska walk towards the children, but Crystal calls her husband back as Agnes has stopped breathing. Charles attempts to resuscitate his mother, but to no avail. He mourns over his mother's death, thinking that her heart stopped due to shock. Patricia and Jaron introduce themselves to Trent and Maddox to distract the kids. Jaron assumes that Trent is 11 years old, but the boy claims that he's just 6. Maddox insists that he's telling the truth, but Jaron thinks that the kids are just playing with them. Priska arrives searching for her children, but is stunned to see that they've suddenly grown up. Suddenly, Charles sees Midsize Sedan sprinting back to the canyon. He chases after him, but as soon as they're inside, the two men become disoriented. Soon, they both wake up by the shore. Priska insists that they must take the kids to the hospital, so they plan to search for another path out of the beach. The adults attempt to pass through the canyon again, but they all black out. Priska freaks out that something is happening to the kids, including Kara. She insists on Charles checking on the kids, but instead they witness Charles slashing mid-sized Sedan across the cheek. Charles claims that he thought that the man was going to hurt him, then apologizes nonchalantly. Jaren checks on mid-sized Sedan, only to find out that his wound is already healed. Freaked out, mid-sized Sedan finally recounts how he went on vacation because he was sick. He met the woman at the resort after they talked about their illnesses. She swam into the ocean early this morning, and that's when he last saw her alive. Later, Charles confirms that all the kids suddenly grew up. Agnes's dog also suddenly passes away. While the adults try to figure out another way off the beach, mid-sized Sedan shares to Maddox that his real name is Brandon, and that he was recently diagnosed with a rare blood condition. Patricia, a psychologist, collects everyone to figure out why they're there. During this, Guy reveals that Priska has a stomach tumor, which shocks their kids. Jaren, a nurse, checks on her tumor, but she suddenly faints. Charles feels for her tumor in the stomach and realizes that it's growing. Charles suggests cutting out the tumor now, but Guy is hesitant, knowing that the tumor could kill Priska. He finally agrees. Just before making an incision, Charles suddenly talks about a movie. Crystal tells him to focus, so he cuts into Priska's skin, but the wound immediately closes. Jaren suggests trying again, and they hold up the skin to keep it from closing. Charles continues acting oddly, so Jaren leads the operation. Soon, they take the tumor out, and Priska's body immediately heals. After some time, Priska wakes up, much to everyone's delight. Meanwhile, mid-sized Sedan checks on the woman's body and is shocked to find that it's decomposed, as if she's been dead for at least 7 years. Given this, they conclude that time is different on this beach. Priska calculates that half an hour on the beach makes them age for roughly a year. Jaren adds that the children are always hungry because their mass is still growing. He theorizes that the rocks surrounding the beach are speeding the processes of their cells. Thus, they black out when they leave as their bodies cannot readjust to their normal stage. He suggests walking slowly in the canyon to allow their bodies to reacclimate into the average cellular speed. While they're discussing this, Trent and Kara spend some time in the tent, sharing how they feel different. When they leave the tent, they've grown up as young adults. To the adults' horror, Kara is suddenly pregnant. Maddox tries to calm them down, as Jaren calculates that Kara will give birth soon. During this, Charles continues babbling about movies. Jaren gets Kara to lie down on a blanket as her belly grows. Minutes later, Kara is terrified as the baby is about to come. With Charles lost in his thoughts, Crystal panics and runs into the canyon, hoping to get help. Still, she blacks out as soon as she enters the canyon. By the time she wakes up, the baby is born. Everyone calms down upon hearing the baby's cries. However, the cries immediately stop. The baby passes away after seconds of not eating. Trent thrashes in anger while Kara cries in shock. Crystal begs her husband to help them escape, but Charles continues to be nonchalant. Suddenly, he takes out his knife and threatens Jaren to get out of his neighborhood. He then turns to Crystal and tells her to put makeup on. Distraught, Crystal runs away. Maddox finds Crystal crying by herself. Crystal shares that she once fell in love with a man named Giuseppe, but he wasn't handsome nor rich, so she left him. She admits that she's been thinking about Giuseppe since they arrived on the beach. Their conversation is interrupted by Patricia's screams. Charles repeatedly stabs mid-sized Sedan, then casually leaves. Jaren and Guy slowly take the blade away from Charles to avoid further incidents. Near dusk, Jaren decides to swim into the ocean to get help. He kisses Patricia goodbye before leaving. While waiting for him, Guy realizes that all of them have a member of the group who's sick. Priska recounts that she found the place after entering a raffle at the pharmacy. With the resort tending to all their needs, including air travel, the resort can make them disappear without a trace. Later, Maddox confronts her mother about the divorce. Priska claims that she wanted to leave them to spare them from her medical condition, but Maddox figures that she was seeing someone else. Priska admits to this, breaking her daughter's heart. She assures Maddox that she feels different now, but Maddox claims that she needs time to sort out her feelings. Maddox walks into the ocean to calm her emotions. While she's feeling the waves against her back, she comes across Jaren's body. Guy and Trent take Jaren to the shore, but it's too late. Patricia mourns for her husband. They figure that swimming into the ocean will cause them to black out too. Trent and Kara move away from the group as they struggle with the idea that they will die on the beach without having experienced life. To help her move on, Trent takes their baby's body away from Kara and buries it in the sand. While he's doing so, Kara starts climbing up the cliff. Trent tries to chase after her, but his parents stop him. Despite everyone's protests, Kara insists that she has to try to escape the beach. Soon, Kara's nearly at the ledge, but she stops. Trent screams, figuring that she's blacked out. Kara then falls off the cliff, and Trent is broken up upon seeing her body. Desperate to escape, Patricia ties up a few pool noodles, hoping it will keep her afloat while she swims out. However, she collapses and repeatedly seizes until she passes away. While looking at Patricia's body, Guy's vision starts to blur. His aging is causing his eyes to deteriorate. Meanwhile, Crystal searches for her daughter, not knowing that Kara is dead. Crystal sees that her back is hunched due to her calcium deficiency. By nightfall, Guy finally reveals to Priska that he saw the text messages from her lover. He's not upset over her cheating, but instead berates her over the man that she chose to cheat on him with. However, Priska assures him that she wants to stay with him now. While searching through the discarded items on the beach, Maddox finds a notebook full of theories about the beach. The writer theorized that the magnetism at the beach and the special minerals inside the rocks are causing rapid cell aging. Hearing this, Trent figures that they could escape if they could create metal protection like those used in X-rays to prevent the magnetism from affecting them. He looks over the nearby landscapes and sees something shining, believing that it's a camera that's recording them. At night, Guy hears something from the dark, but Priska, who's slowly losing her hearing, doesn't notice. Charles arrives and starts slashing at Guy to prevent him from telling the police that he killed mid-sized Sedan. With Guy losing his vision, he's unable to fight back. Priska tries to protect her husband, but he pushes her away, instructing her to keep the kids safe instead. Priska finds the children and tells them to hide. Maddox and Trent hide inside a cave and find Crystal weeping over her condition. She throws rocks at them, insisting that they shouldn't look at her. Upon confirming that Kara is dead, she mourns, and then she lifts a heavy rock to throw at Trent. However, her bones break and quickly heal at the wrong angle. Crystal continues to thrash around as her body breaks until finally, her heart stops. Outside, Priska finds a weapon and fights off Charles. His wound heals, but the rust from Priska's knife quickly poisons his blood. The poison spreads throughout his body until he dies. Trent and Maddox join their parents by the campfire, being the only survivors left. Hours later, Priska and Guy appear elderly, so Trent and Maddox do their best to keep them comfortable. Soon, Guy has forgotten what he and his wife were fighting about, so he doesn't care about it anymore. The couple reconciles before passing away minutes apart. In the morning, Trent and Maddox have grown even older. They wonder if they should even try to leave, but the siblings decide to make a sandcastle before doing so. While building the sandcastle, Trent remembers the coded message Idlib gave him, and Maddox encourages him to decode it. When Trent decodes the message, he reads that Idlib's uncle doesn't like the corals. Thinking that it's a clue, Trent wonders if the corals will protect them. The siblings swim into the ocean and find a tunnel with corals on its walls. They swim into the tunnel, but Maddox's shirt gets caught. Trent tries to rescue his sister, but struggles to get her free. Meanwhile, the resort driver watches the ocean from a camera. He doesn't see the siblings come up from the water, so he reports via phone that they drowned. He concludes that the subjects of Trial 73 are all deceased. Later, the driver heads into a research facility for a pharmaceutical company called Warren Warren. A scientist named Sydney reports to the resort manager that most of the previous guest computers have been wiped, leaving no trace that they visited the resort. The manager holds a moment of silence for the guests who died for Trial 73. He then assures the workers that they've produced medicines that saved millions due to the beach's discovery. Sydney then announces that they gave Patricia seizure medicine through her welcome cocktail. The medicine effectively prevented her seizure through most of her time at the beach, which would equal 16 years. Due to this, they can now fast-track the medicine for distribution. The company uses the effects of the beach to perform clinical trials within hours that would otherwise lasted years. Back at the resort, the manager finds Idlib waiting for his friend. He insists that Trent and Maddox have already gone home, so he suggests he makes friends with the other kids in the resort. Meanwhile, someone approaches a police officer on vacation in the resort. The man hands the police officer a notebook, while the resort manager welcomes new guests whom he intends to use as new test subjects. Madrid offers their welcome cocktails, but someone knocks the drink out of her hands. To their surprise, Trent and Maddox have arrived at the resort. The police officer has confirmed that the people listed in the notebook are missing. Idlib approaches the adult Trent, confirming that he's his friend when Trent shows him the coded message that he gave them. Earlier, Trent and Maddox managed to escape after coming up momentarily for air before swimming away from the beach, thus avoiding the driver's eyes when he checked on them. With the help of the police officer, the pharmaceutical company had been shut down. The siblings will be sent to their aunt, and Maddox is optimistic that they'll be okay.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.